Right, I'm going to make a start going through this language paper for tomorrow. If you're doing the GCSE exam, hopefully there are some people in here. If you want to go through it yourself, this is the 2021 paper for language OCR. Let's have a look at it. So, start off first with comprehension section. Right, might have done this already, but it's good practice. A couple of things to do before we have a look at any of this. Right, read the bit in italics at the top. So we've got Metabus and Camilla find themselves in danger, but Metabus thinks of an unusual way to save her. I recommend going through, just highlighting all these words that are underlined, right? They're given to us, right? So we're not expected to know them, but highlighting them just makes it a bit easier to see in the actual exam. Yeah, you can take a highlighter in, just don't answer any of the questions in highlighter, obviously. Otherwise, they won't come up when they scan the papers in. Other things to look at are the words at the bottom, right? The ones we just highlighted. Just double check none of these are weird. So the Volsky, masculine, plural, so they are just the Volskians. So make sure we refer to them as that as we go through. We've got some other names. So Metabus, the Volskians, Camilla, Diana, and then these words down here. This is an interesting one. I'm going to highlight it. Right, Salus, Salutis. Looks masculine, but if we check the gender, it's actually feminine. All right. So let's have a look at some of these questions. Here's the first one. Can you hear me? Don't know if you can. If you can't, I'm still going to go ahead. We've got Metabus, Rex, Volscorum, erat, pater, Camillii. So what two things are we told about Metabus? Right, 2 marks. So I'm going to say 2 things. Well, Metabus, Rex, Volscorum, erat, pater, Camillii. So I can see 2 things there. Right, he was the king of the Volscians. Right, he was the king of the Volscians. What else we told? I did great on my exam, thanks to you. Great, awesome, happy to help. What else we told? He was the pater Camillii. He was the father, who's this? Of Camilla. He was the father of Camilla. Just double check that. So it's Camillii. Right, look on here. We've got Camilla, Camillii. This one is the genitive it gives us. So yeah, that is of Camillii. Make sure when we're doing this, right, we're not putting he was the father of Camillii. Put the actual name that we get over here. All right. We need to still translate it, even though it's a name. Next up then, we've got Metabus Tamen down to expellere constituerant. So what did the citizens decide to do as a result of Metabus's cruelty? It's given us these ellipses, so it's not given us everything, so we need to read ourselves. So Metabus, king of the Volscians, was the father of Camilla. Metabus Tamen Rex crudelissimus erat. Is that the bit we're reading? Yeah. Metabus, however, was a very cruel king, and so he decided, right, to expellere. If you don't know that word, right, think about what word it looks like in English. So to expel, to drive out. The citizens decided to drive him out of the kingdom. Okay, so we can answer this question. What did the citizens decide to do? They decided to, let's just say, expel him out of the kingdom. Is that enough for my marks? Yeah, probably. Only 1 marker. Right, next up then, we've got Camillam to Macum Ducam. What did Metabus say he was unable to do? Where is that? Which bit are we even reading? This is lines 3 to 4. Camillam. So this bit here. Right. Camillam to Macum Ducam. So Camillam in hoc loco relinquere non possum. Okay, we start off with Camillam, but this is an object, so she's not doing the action. So it's, I am not able to leave Camilla in this place, right, in hoc loco. So when we're doing these sentences, just make sure that even though it's the first words in a sentence, we're not making the mistake of thinking that this is our subject. So the question is, what did Metabus say he was unable to do? He was unable to leave Camilla in hoc loco, in this place. What did he say he'd do instead? Don't know, let's have a look. He said to himself, therefore, ducam, right, look at the ending. This is our second set of future tense endings. Remember, they go either bo, bis, bit, or am, es, et. This is that second set. So I will lead am, her. So therefore I will lead her, make them with me, ad alium terram, to another land. Okay. Add plus the accusative is always motion towards. So we can answer this question with, what does he say we'd do instead? He would lead her to another land. How nice. Okay, next bits. I should double check. Is that enough? Yeah, 2 marks. I imagine it's probably lead her to another land for the 2 marks. Okay, when did Metabus and Camilla set out? Line 5. Well, they set out. I got a time phrase. Yeah, I do. Eardem nocte. This is a twaddle, right? So time when ablative. So the same night or that night. So let's just put the same night for 1 mark. What obstacle blocked Metabus's path? Don't know. If you've got any questions, by the way, you can put them in the chat. I will read them, try and answer them. We'll see. So that same night, my teacher told me I'm taking Latin 2 days ago, but I've been learning French the past 2 years. Which topic should I target, and where do you recommend I start? Oh God, that's a big question. I don't know. Depends what year you're in. I recommend Latin to GCSE, the textbooks by John Taylor and Henry Cullen. Year 11? Oh yeah, definitely use these ones. Right, these are the best textbooks. Okay, they have fun stories, and it's the ones that I use to teach. No problem. What was the question? What obstacle blocks Metabus's path? Don't know. Let's have a look from where we're going. Well, we're going from ad flumen, which is this bit here. So, having advanced for many hours, a river, right? Flumen. This is the one that blocks the path. So I'm going to put that a river. Only 1 mark. So only one thing you need to say. What are we told about this obstacle? I don't know. Which, on account of the storm, was altissimum. Okay, now we've got an adjective with an issi in the middle. We know that must mean it's a superlative. So this isn't just an altus river. Okay, it's a very altus river. So it was very deep. If you were to say it was very high, I suppose that is a translation of altus. That's fine, that's allowed. But you have a deep river, don't you? It's not really a high river. Then we have Metabus up to non posse. What did Metabus realize? Let's have a look back at our story. Where's it from? From Metabus down to non posse. So Metabus, when he understood indirect statements, so accusative subject, infinitive verb, when he understood that he was not able to transport his daughter, concilium audacissimum cepit, right? Literally, he captured a very bold plan, or he made a very bold plan. So what did he realize? He realized that he could not carry his daughter. What does manibus mean? Hold on. Well, it's from manus, which means hand or band, I suppose, like a band of people. And it's either dative or ablative plural. Is that in this story? Is that where you've spotted it? I don't see it here. Okay, next bit. Is that 2 marks? Yeah, 2 marks. I imagine we've got enough to say there. I'm going to take manus out. Deam, Dianam, oravit ut Camillam sovaret. What did Metabus do to make sure his very daring plan would be successful? Now we have an indirect command here. Remember, for these indirect commands, we have a verb of ordering, or sort of persuading, or begging. Oro, I beg, plus an ut, plus an imperfect subjunctive. So he begged the goddess Diana. Look, these 2 words are both in the accusative. So he begged the goddess Diana to save Camilla. Okay, so he begged the goddess Diana, probably 1 mark, to save Camilla. Cool. Filiam ad hastam ad fixam to aquam tranavit. Okay, these words are underlined. I don't know what they mean. I'm going to check over here. But what did Matavus do before swimming to safety himself? Where's it from? It's from Filiam. So Filiam ad hastam ad fixam trans flumen yekit. Yekit, he threw. What did he throw? He threw rather his daughter across the river. Now his daughter is also ad fixamed ad hastam to a spear. So he what have we got? What did he do before swimming to safety himself? Well, he attached his daughter to a spear. One mark. And then what did he do? He threw. Where did he throw her? He threw her, I can't remember. He threw her trans flumen. Trans is prepositioning across. He threw her across the river. There we go. Easy. Hopefully there are some of my students in here watching this. Who knows? Right, that's all the comprehension questions for that bit. Then we are left with our derivations bits. Okay, now, things that people get wrong on derivations. They will just translate this word. So loco, meaning place. If I were just to write place here, that is incorrect. Okay, I'm being asked for an English word that comes from loco. Okay, so a derivation. We could have something like local, right? Or maybe location. What is a location? It's a place, isn't it? So we give an English word that comes from Latin, and then we give a definition of our English word. So it should be a hand model. Okay, slightly weird. Next one, aquam. What else have we got? So you can have an aquarium. That's quite a nice one, although quite hard to spell. So I'm going to go for aquatic, right? Which is what is aquatic? It is related to water. Cool. Okay, so just for the derivations, making sure that we are giving an English word, not a translation, and then we give the meaning of the English word, not the meaning of this Latin. After we have done that, then we get onto the grammar questions. Okay, now these should be 10 pretty easy, straightforward marks because the questions are repeated, or rather the format of the questions is repeated. Okay, so it'll be based on the story that we've just read. Okay, so nothing new up here. So you don't need to translate any of it. We are just identifying some different bits of grammar. So, identify the tense of this verb, erat. Well, erat is from the verb sum. Sum is the present tense. Erat is imperfect. Right? He, she, it was, or there was. Identify an example of the accusative case in line 2. What have we got? We could have filiam or concilium, or even say, right, in an indirect statement, we have an accusative being used as a subject. So I'm just going to go for the easy one, which is filiam. What else? Explain why servaret is in the subjunctive mood. Okay, now remember, for these questions, we have, I suppose, 6, right? 6 possible answers. We have either a purpose clause, where it's just ut plus a subjunctive, or ut, I suppose. Result clause, where we have ut plus subjunctive, but also a signpost word beforehand, like tam or tot. So tam being so. We could also have a cum clause, which is cum plus subjunctive. We have a fearing clause, which is nay plus subjunctive. We'd have an indirect question, which is a question word and subjunctive, or an indirect command, where it's one of those sort of verbs of commanding or ordering or begging, I suppose, plus subjunctive and an ut. What do we have here then? Well, we've got an ut and a subjunctive, so it could be this one or this one, or cum, can't be that, because there's no cum. Oro is not a verb of fearing. Indirect question of no question word. Oro, like I begged, or he, she, it begged, which leaves this one for me. So I'm just going to write down it is an indirect command. Remember, he begged the goddess Diana to save Camilla. Right, perfect. I never understood the subjunctive. The subjunctive is a different kind of mood, right, in Latin. We use it to express possibility, but at GCSE, it is just there for different constructions, okay? So we use it as a different kind of mood to create these clauses, okay? Nothing too tricky. Only two you need to know at GCSE. Imperfect, which is the infinitive, plus the personal endings. So M, S, T. Right, so for example, amaret. Or we need to know the pluperfect, which is the perfect stem plus isse plus the endings. So amar visem. Okay, that's all we need to know. Perfect tense on line 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that right? We could have something like yekit, this one here, or tranowit. Let's go for the first one. Yek it. All right, he threw. Pick out a pronoun on line 4 as well. Where are my pronouns? I've got only the one. Can you spot it? There it is. Ipse. Okay. And then final question. Identify the form of a fugere and explain why it's used here. Well, I know a fugere ending in re is an infinitive. And it's used here because it follows this verb, poterant. So I'm just going to write literally follows poterant. That's all we need to do, okay? These questions are pretty straightforward and formulaic. Right, say it's infinitive, say which verb it follows. Don't just say it follows a verb, say the specific verb itself. Now, the only other kind of question we've not had on here is identify the case of a word, I suppose, and explain why it's used, right? So you could have a question that might be, so look, have we got any good ones I could look at? Yeah. We could have the question, explain why manibus, state the case of manibus and explain why it's in that case. Well, manibus is going to have to be ablative. How do I know that? I'd say ablative follows the preposition e. Okay? For these questions, it's always either going to be ablative or accusative, right? And you need to know which nouns come after, which prepositions take an ablative, which ones take an accusative. You can check just the endings of them as well. Never a dative. Happy? Cool. Oh, wait, here it is. That is the exact question. Explain, identify the case of manibus and explain why it's used here. God, I'm so good at predicting questions. Well, let's just say ablative, as we just said, follows preposition e. There we go. And identify the case of Volscorum. Well, I'm going to be quite clever and look all the way back up here to my vocab. Remember, when we get nouns in Latin, they're going to give us first the nominative and then the genitive. And oh, look, Volscorum. There we go. It's a genitive. Note my spelling of genitive with an I there, not an E or an A. It's not genative or genitive. What I recommend doing then, after you've done the grammar questions, leave this bit. Okay, only come back to this if you have time at the end. It says, do not answer question 11 if you already answered question 10. We are going to ignore that. You can do both. Okay, they will give you the marks, whichever one you got highest on. So if you've tried the grammar questions and only got 2 out of 10, but you've done the English Latin and actually you've got 5 out of 10, it doesn't matter that you've done both. They will give you the highest ones. Okay, no, I can't do both. You can, and we're going to. All right, so good way to do this, if you get to the end, is split it up. Okay, we've got the freedman, subject, They found, verb, the wine, accusative, nominative, plural, verb. So what are freedmen? They are liberty. What is found? I need perfect tense, third person plural. I thought imperfect is future. No, imperfect is kind of past tense. It's was or were ing. Okay, well, I don't know any biblical Hebrew, I'm afraid, so it's not here. The freedmen found, so invenerant. The wine, I need the accusative of wine, singular, which is just vinum. The queen was fearing danger. Well, again, let's split it up. Subject, she was fearing danger, so nominative, verb. Accusative, the queen, nominative singular, regular, she was fearing. This is the imperfect tense, so I'm going to use time bats. Okay, the bar, my imperfect. And what is danger? Danger is periculum. And then the last one, usually a little bit trickier. Why do you prepare dinner, slave? So I've got why, which is just a word by itself. Do you prepare? Or the verb you prepare. Dinner being accusative singular. And slave would be my vocative. So vocative, accusative, verb, why. Okay, so que for why. You prepare is present tense. So paras. Dinner in the accusative singular is canam, comma. Slave, so service goes to survey. And what the heck, let's throw a question mark on the end to make it accurate. Okay, so I would say do the grammar questions first. Once you've done those, do the rest of the paper. If you have time at the end, and only if you've got time and you've checked your paper, come back and do these, because you might find that actually they're not too tricky. You can get some easy marks. So we've had section A, which is comprehension, and then either grammar or English to Latin. We then get to section B, which gives us another comprehension. The one in section A will be mythology. This one will be history. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Doesn't really matter, I suppose. But this one tends to be a little bit trickier. Now, what did I say I'm going to do? I said I'm going to first read the bit in italics to give me some context. So when her son dies, Arya puts aside her own grief in order to help her husband, Paetus. What a name. After that, I'm going to highlight all the underlined words just to make it easy to spot. So all of them. There we go. And then I'm going to check down here to make sure there's nothing weird that's going to trip me up. So Arya, yep, woman, just called Arya. Paetus, a bloke, just called Paetus. I stand out, I'm ill. Funeral, funus, funeris, neuter. Okay, that might come up somewhere. Simulo, I pretend. Salus, again, another one. They really try and trip you up by doing words that look masculine but are actually feminine, which means health. And then dolor, doloris means just grief or sorrow. Okay, what have we got? We have, why did some women stand out? I don't know. Let's have a look. Nonnullae feminae propter virtutem eminebant. So some women, or several women, were, I don't know that word, what is it? Were standing out. Propter virtutem, because of, or on account of, their virtue, or their courage. I'm going to use virtue because I quite like that as a word. So they were standing out because of their virtue. And you know what, just to add some more context, let's translate the first little bits, which we already do down here. Weird that, isn't it, that it gives us in this order, given that this comes first. Don't know. Why was it surprising that these women stood out? Well, although viri sumum imperium Romae tenebant, so although men were holding the greatest power in Rome, several women stood out because of their virtue. Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it? So my answer is going to be men held the greatest power. Now watch out for this word, right? This us, we are. This is the adjective, okay? So think of it like a summit, right? The highest or the greatest. Here it's the greatest power. Oh, hi. Oh. Okay. What does this tell us about the son of Pitus and Aria? We are looking from eodem tempore to agrotabat. What a word. Agroto. I am ill. Well, we have. Sorry. Where is this? Hi, Spaghettino. Hello. So once Pitus Agrotabat was ill, eodem tempore at the same time, the son of him or them, right, who was more beautiful, right, and loyal than all the others, was also ill. Okay, so what are we told? What does this tell us about the son of Pitus and Aria? We are told that he was more handsome and loyal than all the others. Okay, that's the first bit. So that's up here. So who was more beautiful, more handsome, and more loyal? Remember this. Oops. The eor in the adjective makes it a comparative. So eor equals comparative, or eor equals more. So they weren't just beautiful or handsome. He was beautiful or loyal. He was more beautiful and more loyal than all the others. And we're also told, poor guy, he was ill. 3 marks. Okay. Anyone got any questions so far? Is that making sense? Feel free to ask some things. I think this cuts off at 35 minutes. So I might have to restart it. Is he a superlative and eor comparative? Yeah, superlatives, right? We can have isi, ili, or eri in the middle, right? So pulcherimus, facilissimus, I suppose, isi, audarchissimus, right? There's all different kinds of superlatives. The eor makes it more. Question 14, from cum to constitute. What information did Aria decide to take from her husband? Don't know. Let's have a look. So cum to constitute on line 45. Okay, we've got cum plus a imperfect subjunctive, so that means this is since. Okay, since it seemed that her son Pateritus Esse was about to die, Aria decided to to calare the totam rem, to hide the whole matter, to hide the whole event. Okay, so what was the question even asking? What information did Aria decide to hide from her husband? She decided to hide that their son seemed to be about to die. Yeah. If I go over anything that doesn't make sense, do ask and I can explain it in a bit more detail. Otherwise, I'm just going to gloss over it. Next, then, we have nam timebat to deleret. Now, I see a verb of fearing, a subjunctive. I'm presuming fearing clause. What was Aria afraid might happen? Line 5. 4, she feared, right, She feared that a message of that kind would destroy Pitus. Okay, so she hides this information because she's worried that a message of that kind would destroy Pitus. Lovely. Okay, 2 marks. Now, 16, Mater to Audiret. What does this tell us about Aria's arrangements for her son's funeral? Lines 6 to 7. 6. So, after at last her son died, R.I.P., the mother, what did she do? She prepared carefully, Funius Eus, a funeral for him. Or she prepared it so carefully, like carefully, that Pitus nihil de morte filii audiret, that Pitus heard nothing about the death of his son. Okay? So, after, at last, after her son died, the mother prepared a funeral for him so carefully that Pitus heard nothing about the death of his son. Oh my gosh, that's horrible. She prepared it carefully is our answer for this one. And what is the result? Well, Pitus heard nothing about his son's death. What a poor guy Pitus is. I suppose the dead son is a little bit more dramatic, isn't it? Anyway, what did Aria do to give hope to Pitus? So here we go. Maybe a little bit of hope coming in. This is lines 7 to 8. So, diu Aria etiam simulabat filium vivere ut marito plus svei daret. Gosh, well, what a long sentence. I'm going to split it up where that utters. So, diu, best word in Latin, short word for a long time. So, for a long time, Aria even simulabat was pretending that, oh God, her son was alive. Ut marito plus spe cibumque. Ut. Now, normally, ut, right? How do we translate it? Normally, it's in something like a result clause or a purpose clause. Here, there isn't a subjunctive that goes with it. So we are just going to translate it normally as. Okay? So for long word for a short time, short word for a long time. For a long time, Aria even pretended that her son was alive as. Oh, hold on, I've made a mistake. There is a subjunctive, isn't there? My bad. Direct. Subjunctive here. No one saw that. As she gave more hope to her husband, or in order to give more hope to her husband. So what did Aria do to give hope to Pitus? Number 17. Yeah, she pretended that their son was alive. Oh my gosh, I'm not liking Aria at this point. Next bit, Itaque to consumpsit. What did Aria say when her husband asked about the health of their son? Oh gosh, what has she said? From Itaque, well, and so, de salute unis roganti semper respondebat. Okay, who's our subject? Well, I reckon it's probably Aria. So, and so, she responded to Pito, or to Pitus rather, about Saluto, about the health of the young man, right? Because he's asking always. She says he slept well and he willingly ate his dinner. Oh my gosh, he willingly ate his food. What a weird thing to say. So we can say for number 18, he slept well. He willingly ate food. Right, this question then, number 19. This also tends to throw people for some reason. Even though they give you the instructions, people get a little bit confused. Write down and translate a Latin phrase which shows how Aria really felt. So we need to look back at our story and think, what is that phrase and how do we translate it? So lines 9 to 10. Sola in horto tamen se doloridabat et vehementer lacrimabat. So I reckon we could have Darbat se dolori. Alone, however, in the garden, she gave herself to grief or to sorrow, and she was crying loudly. Okay, I reckon we can have these two phrases, right? Either say Dori Darbat or Vehementer lacrimabat. I'm going to do that last one because it takes less time to write. So what I would do, I'd write it in here. Okay, Vehementer lacrimabat. And then I just translate it. Okay, so she cried loudly. Okay, for some reason this throws people. They end up writing like a full essay in this tiny box. You are doing a phrase, okay, which is only a couple of words or a few words. Number 20 then, why did Aria show such great courage? This is from Ita Aria. So, thus Aria displayed the greatest courage ad vitam piety servandam. Okay, good. I'm glad this has come up. Okay, if you're sort of half paying attention, fully pay attention now. To form a purpose clause in Latin, normally we have ut plus a subjunctive. Okay, so in order to, but it's not the only way we can express purpose. Okay, good, Cody. Yeah, to save Pitus's life. Here we have ad plus a gerundive. This is another way of expressing purpose in the same way. So thus Aria displayed the greatest virtue in order to save the life of Pitus. Right, so I'd write it down here. In order to save the life of Pitus. Okay, so just to recap, we can have up plus subjunctive, ad plus a gerundive, right, which is one of these words. It's the verb with the sort of and in them. It's a verby, sort of verby word here. Or we could also have a dum plus a subjunctive, right? This is also another way of expressing purpose. Okay, so 3 ways, all in order to. Right, that's the end of that comprehension section. Okay, I'm going to take a 2-minute break, okay, to get some water, and then I'm going to crack on with this translation. What you could be doing is having a look at it first, right? Thinking what are the ways that you go through it, and then we'll make a start. So I call it break at 2041. Back soon. Give me 2 minutes. Okay, that was a speedy break. I am back. I have just noticed this was the story that we did in today's lesson. If there's anyone still here watching, would it be better if we looked at a different story to translate for this paper? You can maybe leave a comment. Cody, would you prefer if we looked at a different story? Okay, give me 2 minutes. I'm going to go print a second one. I will have a look at what have I got? I could do the story from the 2022 paper. Have you done that one yet? I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. Let me have a look. It is. I don't know. I have it here actually. It's this story. Have you done this story yet, Cody? I think your mock was probably the 2024 paper. Okay, so probably haven't done this one. I already started this earlier when I was just doing a bit of Latin myself in my wild nights, but it's the same idea, okay? What we want to do first is read the bit at the top, highlight the words that are given to us, and then just double check. So we've got Tarquinius becomes very popular in Rome, but when he is afraid that one of Ancus's sons will be chosen to succeed Ancus as king. When the sons are away from the city, Tarquinius persuades the Romans to elect him as their next king. Okay. We've been through, we have highlighted all those words, double checked down here for anything that might throw us. Well, Tarquinius, 5th king of Rome, Ancus, the 4th king, Liberalis Generis, tutor, guardian. Yeah, that's all fine. I'm not going to show you that because I started a translation. But what I would say is it's good to try and break this up into individual sentences or maybe even clauses, okay? So, as you can see from the first bit, I've broken up the first sentence and just put some little arrows around where I'm going to translate or stop translating. Sorry, I'm trying to find where I am. Yeah, so, Mox Tarquinius omnia faciebat ad amicos Romae quae rendos. Okay, immediately, you see I've put it on here. We've got another one of those ad plus gerundives, right? So in order to. Okay, so soon, Tarquinius, what did he do? Have I got a verb? He was doing omnia, everything, in order to look for his friends in Rome. Okay, so Tarquinius soon was doing everything to look for his friends in Rome. Then I've got alios ad canam invitabat, aliis dona darbat, ut cives sibi faverent. This came up for someone else earlier tonight, so just keep an eye out. Alios, ali, so ali, right, we are translating as some and others, okay? Accusative though, so not our subject. So he invited some to dinner, he gave gifts to others, ut cives sibi faverent, purpose clause, ut plus subjunctive, so that the citizens might favour him. Okay, faveo takes the dative, that's why this is sibi. So he invited some to dinner, he gave gifts to others, so that the citizens might favour him. There we go, and I've actually finished translating it here, so that the citizens might favour him. And notice as I go through, I'm doing this on alternate lines, right? This is helpful for an examiner, but it's also helpful for you. If you make a mistake, like I did here, you don't have to try and bunch it up. You can do it on one of these extra lines. So I could maybe think, oh, that's not that word. It's actually citizens. And I've not tried to bunch all the words up at once. Okay? Next then, we have tam liberalis erat ut omnes eam maxime amarent et virtutes eius laudarent. I think I've got here a result clause, right? I've got tam with an ut. So liberalis, what is that? That is a nominative, perhaps. Yeah, he was so generous that everyone loved him very much, maxime, and they praised his virtues. Be careful, right? This is a plural. Okay, watch. So virtutes plural. Tandem rex ipse. Okay, tandem, again, another word that people mix up. Tamen. However, tandem is at last. So at last, the king ipse, the king himself, Ancus by name, or named Ancus, what did he do? He began to trust Tarquinius and even asked him, okay, so we've got an indirect question. It's a verb of questioning here. So, and even asked him to be the tutor of his children. Okay, so at last the king named Ancus began to trust Tarquinius, and he even asked him to be the tutor, or maybe guardian is a better way of doing that, because that's how it gives us here, the guardian of his children. Just 1 second. Yep, sorry. Cool, that's the first bit done. Next up then, we have Ancus tamen. So Ancus, however, quamquam Romam multos annos bene rexerat. So Ancus, however, although he had ruled Rome, this is a pluperfect tense verb, right? Pluperf. So our endings are the arameras are out for those ones. Although he had ruled Rome well for many years, remember Rome is Rome, Romanus is the Romans. Multos annos is the time how long accusative, so for many years. So Ancus, however, although he had ruled Rome well for many years, plus time clause, time how long accusative. Yeah, that's right, Cody. This multos annos, time how long accusative, thwack. Labore confectus. Okay, now this phrase is going to freak some people out. Okay, PPP, an ablative. So having been confectus, having been worn out by the toil or by the work or with the work, what did he do? He was now looking for a successor. Okay, confectus is a word that I think is, for some reason, a bit tricky. Learn it. Okay, worn out. So worn out with the work or with the toil, he was now looking for a successor. Tarquinius, therefore, concilio audarci capto. What do we have here? We have ablative absolutes, concilio capto, audarci, with a bold plan having been captured, or after making a bold plan, he persuaded duobus filiis, 2 sons of Ancus. If I translate the absolute with his work having been finished, okay, this bit is not an absolute, right? Because this is a nominative. This is just a PPP with an ablative. So it's just worn out by the work. But if you translate it with his work having been finished, yeah, no, I would stick to this translation because it isn't an absolute. That comes here. See what I mean? So this would be worn out by the work. Does that make sense? That's a long bit. Let's just go through that one more time. So Ancus, however, although he had ruled Rome well for many years, worn out with the work, was now looking for a successor. Tarquinius, therefore, after capturing a bold plan, persuaded two sons of Ancus to Winarenta, whatever that means, to go hunting in the mountains. On the next day, Tarquinius tanta arte in foro loctuus est ut omnes verba eius mirarenta. Okay, so we are going to have, on the next day, Tarquinius spoke, that's where I am, he spoke locutus est, right, from Lockwar. He spoke in the forum with tanta arte, with such great skill, such great art, that everyone was amazed, or everyone marveled his words. Hoc modo Tarquinius novus rex Romae postea factus est. In this way, Tarquinius factus est was made, was afterwards made the new king of Rome. All right, that's our full translation. Okay, so see how I've been through the italics, highlighted the words. I've tried to split it up where I can to make it a bit more manageable. I've tried to identify some of those constructions so I know that I'm translating them right. Okay, so here's a ad plus gerundive public clause. What else did we have? We had down here a result clause. Okay, we had over here an ablative absolute. Just take it slowly. Okay, you've got a lot of time for this. It's worth 50 marks, which is half the paper. So do take your time, make sure it's accurate. Also make sure, like I almost did down here, you aren't missing any words out. So I almost missed postea, which is afterwards. If you miss words out, that is classed as an error. Okay, now that comes to the end of this paper. If anyone has any questions while I'm still here, I've been doing this for about an hour, but feel free to ask some questions, right? Otherwise, I will sign off. If you do anything, want me to mark it, email it to me. Hopefully that has been helpful. I'm just going to give it a few minutes or so in case anyone thinks of anything. Like I said, though, you can email me. I am on duty this evening, so I'll be on my emails. In terms of final tips for you, okay, the paper's an hour and a half, right? This section is worth half the mark, so spend about half the time of the paper on this, okay? So what is that? What's an hour and a half divided by 2? 45 minutes, okay? Maybe a little bit longer because you might whiz through some of those easy questions, like the derivations or the grammar bits, okay? When you think you've finished as well, what's a really good idea is to go back through the paper, check the questions, especially, those comprehensions. Have you said enough for each of the marks available, enough for an examiner to give you all the marks possible? Okay, so here that's only 1 mark, that's fine. 1 mark, 1 mark. Have I said something that can give me 2 separate marks here? Yeah, so he could not carry his daughter across. Yeah, he could not carry his daughter, 2 marks. He begged the goddess Diana, 1 mark, to save Camilla. So go through, double check. The grammar questions as well, I'd make sure you check those. Make sure for this bit you're checking that you haven't just translated this, okay? Do not just translate this word. That is not what they're asking you to do. They're asking for a derivation, okay? So for each of the Latin words below, give 1 English word which has been derived from the Latin word and give the meaning of the English word. Okay, so just be very slow and methodical. The English word, the meaning of the English word, not the meaning of this Latin bit. Anything else I can think of? If you're not sure about a word, right? Whether it's in the comprehension or if it's in the translation, think about any derivations we might have in English from it, okay? That might help you, okay? If you're not sure, have a go at something, right? Best to have a go rather than leaving it blank. That's the case for all these questions. Just try and put something in there, right? If you leave it blank, you've definitely got it wrong. If you have a go, you might have got it right, okay? And go with your first instinct, go with your gut. If you have a compound verb as well, right, make sure you've sort of taken that into account. So exclamo, right, from ex and clamo. Clamo is I shout, but exclamo, I exclaimed. Make sure you are taking that into account. Otherwise, I think that's probably it for my tips. Yeah, take some spare pens, take a highlighter, take some water, get a good night's sleep tonight. Don't stay up too late revising. The cramming only does so much, okay? A good night's sleep will do the world of good. Well, I see no questions, so I'm going to leave it there. But like I said, email me if you have anything. Otherwise, best of luck for your exams. See you all later.